Okay, so I'm going to continue with Mrs. Cavuto's study guide. Moving on to number 6, which we have to then solve this system using the elimination method. So in order to use the elimination method for number 6, I'm going to have to take the first equation, 9x minus 7y equals negative 2, and multiply it by 2. So if I multiply every term in the first equation by 2, I'll get 18x minus 14y equals negative 4. So I'm going to take that equation and I'm going to add it to the second equation. So the first equation was 18x minus 14y equals negative 4. That was the first one. Then the second equation is negative 18x plus 3y equals 15. And I'm going to add those together now. So each term is going to be added. So starting with the x's, we have 18x and negative 18x. That's what gets eliminated because it's 0. Then negative 14y plus 3y is negative 11y. And negative 4 plus 15 is 11. Finishing the problem, you'll divide both sides by negative 11. So y is negative 1. So again, I started out with the first equation, multiplied everything by 2, and then I added that with the second equation so that the x variable gets eliminated. So once you have the y equals negative 1, you're going to have to substitute it in and get x. So when you solve for x, you could pick either equation. You could pick 9x minus 7y equals negative 2, or you could pick negative 18x plus 3y equals 15. I always just pick the first one just out of habit, but again, you'll get the correct x value either way. So since I know that y equals negative 1, I'm going to substitute that in for y. And I'm going to solve this equation for x. So this simplifies to 9x plus 7 equals negative 2. Subtract 7 on both sides, so you get 9x equals negative 9. And then divide both sides by 9, and you'll get x is negative 1. So you have x is negative 1 and y is negative 1. And I'm going to write that on the actual study guide. So x is negative 1, y is negative 1. So your ordered pair is negative 1, negative 1. Okay, moving on to number 7. Same idea. Only this time we're going to actually have to multiply both of these equations to get one of the variables to eliminate. So I'm going to copy both of them down. And I'm going to multiply this top equation by 5. And the bottom equation by negative 6, and that will eliminate the x's for me. So if you distribute a 5 to the top equation, you get negative 30x plus 50y equals 100. And if you distribute a negative 6 to the bottom equation, you'll end up with, I didn't need a negative 6 there. I'm going to change this to a positive 6, and you'll see why in a minute. I'm going to change that to a positive 6, so now I'm going to end up with 30x and that will help my x's to cancel, because one will be negative, one will be positive. So that's why I changed that to a positive 6. So distributing a positive 6 gives me 30x minus 42y, and then negative 22 times 6 gives me negative 132. So after I distribute, I'm now going to add these equations. So I'm going to add my x's, my y's, and my constants. So like I was saying before, the negative 30x and the positive 30x are going to cancel, or eliminate, if you will. So then 50 plus negative 42y is 8y, and if 100 plus negative 132 is negative 32. Divide both sides by 8, and I get y equals negative 4. Okay, then once you have y, you're going to pick one of the original equations and solve for x. So if y is negative 4, I'm going to pick, again, going back, either the first or the second equation, it doesn't matter, and you're going to solve for x. So I usually just pick the first equation, but you'll get the same answer even if you do the bottom one. And now I'm going to plug in y is negative 4. So I have negative 6x plus 10 times negative 4 equals 20. That simplifies to negative 6x minus 4 equals 20. I'm sorry, minus 40 equals 20. So then I'm going to add 40 to both sides. So now I'm left with negative 6x equals 60. And 60 divided by negative 6 is negative 10. So I have x is negative 10 and y is negative 4. And I'm going to write that on the study guide. So next to number 7, we have x is negative 10, y is negative 4, and then we're going to write the ordered pair, negative 10, negative 4. Then moving on, number 8 is another substitution problem. So I'm going to take 4x minus 3y equals negative 15. 3x minus 8y equals 29. And again, I'm going to have to multiply both equations this time so that I get one of the variables to eliminate. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 3 and the bottom equation by negative 4. So if I distribute a 3 to the top equation, I'll get 12x minus 9y equals negative 45. If I distribute a negative 4 to the bottom, negative 4 times 3x is negative 12x. Negative 4 times negative 8y is positive 32y. And negative 4 times 29 is negative 116. So now when I go to add these together, you'll notice that the x's will eliminate, because one's positive 12, one's negative 12, and that will give me 0. And then negative 9y plus 32y is 23y. Negative 45 plus negative 116 is negative 161. So if I divide both sides by 23, I get y equals negative 7. And again, go back to the original equations and pick one of them so that you can substitute in and get the value of x. So I'm going to copy down the first equation, 4x minus 3y equals negative 15, and I'm going to substitute in negative 7 for y. So 4x minus 3 times negative 7 is equal to negative 15. That simplifies to 4x plus 21 equals negative 15. Subtract 21 from both sides. 4x equals negative 36. And then divide both sides by 4. You'll get x equals negative 9. So x is negative 9, y is negative 7. I'm going to write that on my study guide. And I'm going to also put that down as an ordered pair, negative 9, comma, negative 7. For the bottom, numbers 9 and 10, it says you could use any method you want. So I'm going to stick with the substitution method for number 9. So negative 4x plus y equals negative 5. Negative x minus 5y equals negative 17. I'm going to multiply the top equation by 5, and that will allow the y's to eliminate. So if I distribute a 5 to all three terms, I get negative 20x plus 5y equals negative 25. I'm not going to do anything to the bottom equation, so I'm just going to write it exactly how it is on the study guide. And now when I go to add these together, my y's will get eliminated because 5y plus negative 5y is 0. Then I have negative 20x and negative 1x is negative 21x. And negative 25 plus negative 17 is negative 42. And then divide both sides by negative 21, you'll get x equals 2. And if x is 2, you could plug that into either equation to get y. So I'm going to copy down the top equation, negative 4x plus y equals negative 5. And I'm going to substitute 2 in for x. So negative 4 times 2 plus y equals negative 5. That simplifies to negative 8 plus y equals negative 5. And if you add 8 to both sides, you'll get y equals 3. So x equals 2, y equals 3. I'm going to write that on the study guide and write it as an ordered pair, 2, 3. Okay, number 10, I'm going to stick with the substitution method. Negative 3x minus 4y equals 10. And 6x minus y equals negative 11. If I multiply this top equation by 2, I'll get the x's to eliminate. So distributing a 2 to all the terms, I'll get negative 6x minus 8y equals 20. I'm not going to do anything to the bottom equation, so I'm just going to copy it down next to it. And now when I add my x's, they're going to get eliminated because negative 6x plus 6x is 0. Negative 8y plus negative 1y is negative 9y. And 20 minus, or 20 plus negative 11, or 20 minus 11 is 9. Divide both sides by negative 9, and you get y is negative 1. To solve for x, again, pick either equation. I'm just going to pick the top equation, and I'm going to substitute negative 1 for y. So that simplifies to negative 3x plus 4 equals 10. Subtract 4 on both sides. Negative 3x equals 6. And 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. So x equals negative 2, y is negative 1. Writing that as an ordered pair is -2, comma, -1. Number 11, I'm going to stick with the substitution method. We just have to figure out how many solutions does it have. Does it have one, many, or none? Now, if I stick with the elimination method, I don't have to do much here. I'm just going to copy these down. When I go to add these up, my x's are going to get eliminated, and my y's are going to get eliminated, and my constants get eliminated. Because -3x plus 3x is 0. Y plus -y is 0. -14 plus 14 is 0. So if you get 0 equals 0, that means you have an infinite number of solutions, because this will always give you a true statement. 0 equals 0 is always true. I'm going to write that then on my study guides. It says, how many solutions does it have? One, many, or none? I'm just going to put that it has many. It has an infinite amount. And then number 12, I'm going to copy that down. X plus 4y equals -1. -2x minus 8y equals -3. Before I use the elimination method, I'm going to have to multiply this top equation by 2. So if I distribute a 2 to all of those terms, I'm going to get 2x plus 8y equals -2. I'm not going to do anything to the bottom equation. And now when I go to add these up, my x's get eliminated and my y's get eliminated. But my constants do not get eliminated. So 2 plus -2 is 0. 8 plus -8 is 0. But -2 plus -3 is -5. So this simplifies to 0 equals -5, which is not true. 0 does not equal -5. So this actually has no solutions because it is not a true statement. 0 will never equal -5. So on your study guide, it says how many solutions does it have? One, many, or none? This will be none.